Hey guys, happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday, February 6th on The Ted Show. Well, everywhere, I guess. We're at the beautiful Citrus Club, and I'm with my friend, the very funny and amazing voiced Gabriel Preisser. What's up, Gabriel?
Oh my gosh, no pressure. I
No
hope I'm amazing voice
You hear
this
that
morning.
voice? Oh my God, I can listen to it all day long. It's awesome. So let us know you can hear us or see us. I see a couple of you on. Give us a
Hey.
thumbs up. Alice Weinberg. I love you, Alice
Alice.
Weinberg. Rebecca's on. So just give us a thumbs up and some hearts. Let us know you can hear us because you're going to want to hear his voice the whole time. I think you
Are
could
we gonna sing?
You should definitely
Oh,
sing, my friend.
A duet, maybe. Some words.
You're definitely going to hear that voice for a while. I could listen to you read textbooks, I think, which is very important
I just
for
happened
your.
to bring some textbooks. No, just
No,
kidding, just
he
kidding.
did not. So I think we're good. We got hearts. We got love. So
Excellent.
welcome to the show. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming on. I'm really excited to hear your story. I've gotten bits and pieces, but let's start with the origin. Give us a little background on you.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Ted. I've watched your show for a year and a half.
And you
now.
still came
Yeah.
on. That's good. Must be penance, or
Well,
I
I
don't
just
know.
came for the view. What
It's
a
got to
great
be
view.
civic duty. Oh yeah, it's definitely the view.
And I can almost see my hometown from here. I grew up in Apopka,
I
Florida.
can't believe that.
Of
That's
all
awesome.
places. Yeah, I know. Most people can't. And I haven't gotten too far away from it. I now live in Winter Garden, Florida. I've really moved up in the world.
You have. Winter Garden's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
They've got a nice little theater district there too.
They do. The Garden Theater is lovely, and Apopka has changed so much.
Apopka's
since I was
completely different.
Yeah, all of Orlando is growing up.
It has.
I went to school at Florida State University. Got my degree in vocal performance, which is a fancy word for opera there.
I can't believe there's a degree for that. I mean, I can,
Yeah.
but so how did you know early on? Like, what was the change that said, all right, I've got a talent that's good enough for me to go to school to get a degree in it?
Well, luckily, I had some wonderful teachers who could see that potential. I had no idea. You know, I never went to an opera as a kid. I'll be very honest with you. I saw some on TV that my mom made me watch on PBS.
She made you.
Yeah, exactly. Loved music theater. I did all the musicals in high school and kind of had my eyes on either being a football player or being on Broadway.
That's such a dichotomy. They're so different.
I was the kid who sang the national anthem in my football pads before the game.
Nice.
But yeah, I had some teachers who said you should pursue vocal performance. You know, there's scholarship opportunities available. I was like, wait, it's like I can get paid to go to college and study music. And they said, yeah, especially for men. You know, they're always looking for men. And I was always like the loud one in chorus. You know, I always kind of stuck
People
out.
could hear you.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't miss that voice. That's a good thing, though. Maybe
Yeah.
it didn't seem so good. Did you get in trouble?
I had a hard time blending in sometimes, but and I love doing music theater. And so once I discovered opera and realized it was kind of like music theater on steroids, I just fell in love with it. And the challenge of it's very athletic, you know, to sing for 3 hours without microphones in a foreign language. There are a lot of challenges to it.
Well, I think I love all music, but I love operatic performances because you're right. I'm always waiting for them to take a breath. Like, I can't breathe when you guys are holding that note or
Yeah.
some of those notes, and then the range that you have to have. So you go into vocal arts or opera, that's your degree. So what are the classes like? Like, what's your trajectory as you're thinking about, all right, I'm going to get this degree. What am I going to do with it?
Well, obviously, voice lessons is a big part of that because you have to have the natural talent, you know, and also the passion, but then you have to refine those skills and learn the technique so you're being healthy with your voice, you create that stamina, you create that range. In addition to that, language classes are really a big part of your
Oh,
studies.
that's right, because many operas are in Italian.
Italian, French, German, sometimes Russian. So I took Italian, French, and German, did 2 semesters of each of those. Piano lessons, acting lessons, music history, music theory. And then luckily someone suggested like, hey, you should maybe get a minor in business. Because as a singer,
Sure.
you are your own business.
Right.
And it's kind of
You're
sad.
an entrepreneur. You really are
You're
an
an
entrepreneur. It's just a
entrepreneur.
different talent than you think of like a normal business entrepreneur.
So I got a business minor, which was very helpful. And I wish that more singers are recommended to do that at the college level.
And so during school, during college, did you do internships? Like, were you performing in shows? And then opera itself, was there an opera that your first one that you did and you go, oh my God, what am I doing? Or was it just an epiphany kind of moment?
It was funny. The first opera I ever did was also the first opera I ever saw. And that was Der Vampir, a German opera meaning the vampire. And it's kind of like Twilight, the opera, you know? And that's what made me fall in love with it, you know, singing in German. And so, for a moment I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this, you know, and this big costumes, big set, big stage, all these big voices, because there were the older singers. I was just in the chorus. You know, I had these singers that had been training for years who were the principal roles, and it was exciting. It was thrilling. And then beyond that, there's summer programs that you do at the undergraduate level, and then you kind of graduate from those to do young artist programs, and that's where my career got started, actually. So young artist programs, you cover the main roles. That's the same thing as like understudy on Broadway. Right. And then they would have you do comprimario roles or small roles in the production. Luckily, I did a young artist program at Minnesota Opera in Minneapolis, and they were doing a world premiere of Silent Night, which was based on the Christmas truce of World War I. And they gave me a great opportunity to do a main role in a world premiere as a young artist. You know, it's like unheard of. And it won the Pulitzer Prize. It was broadcast on PBS, and it really just kind of launched my career, and people all of a sudden kind of knew about me, or at least some people did.
So when you get that level of fame, or you get that level of recognition at that age, what were you thinking then? So what is the trajectory normally? Do you go to perform at the Met? Is that the ultimate? Do you want to travel around the world? Because operas, Americans are wonderful, but it's kind of a lost art. People don't understand it as much as they might have
in
Europe. In Europe.
Yeah, for sure. You know, there are some singers that that's their dream of going to the Met or La Scala, for instance, in Italy, right? For me, it was more my dream, my passion was just to have a career and a livelihood doing what I love, sharing my music. So it wasn't about where I was doing it, just that I was enjoying it and being able to make a livelihood off of that. So, you know, I was very fortunate to then go on to perform at Opera Philadelphia, Cincinnati Opera, Michigan Opera Theater in Detroit. And I was on the road quite a bit.
Sure.
Got a manager in New York that helped place me at different gigs and place me for auditions. But my wife was kind of sick of traveling, and we wanted to start having a family, which you know we have 2 kids.
2 beautiful babies. I saw them.
And so we wanted to move back home to have that support network, and that's why we ended up back where we started. My wife and I met in high school.
I was going to ask you, so how do you meet? Does your wife have an operatic talent?
No, she's a nurse, thank goodness.
She's a nurse. Okay, so you two have different, so she's not a singer, so to speak.
I mean, I know singers that marry other singers or date other singers, but I don't know how they do it, Ted. I mean,
well, because
it's hard enough having one singer in the relationship.
You're the performer in the household, right? Until you had the kids, which I just saw the kids' performance.
They do a little bit,
kids are performers naturally, but you're the performer. You're the big personality, for lack of a better word.
So my wife grounds me. You know, it's good to have that balance, that she has a real job, as we say.
What kind of nursing does she do?
She does oncology, radiation oncology, right here at Orlando.
That is what my daughter does. She's an oncology nurse. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we'll have to
God
talk more
bless
about that
them
later.
Both, because that is something,
again,
way outside of my realm of being able to compartmentalize. Which they have to deal with on a daily basis. So talk about how you come back here, and then do you immediately get involved with Opera Orlando, or how does that work?
Yeah, so that was an interesting story. When I moved back, there wasn't really an opera company per se. The Orlando Opera Company, which was around for almost 50 years, unfortunately had to close its doors in 2008 because of the recession. And the Orlando Philharmonic started doing semi-staged operas, so I did a couple productions with them. And then there was a group of diehard opera lovers who started Florida Opera Theater, and were doing small productions, and I got involved with them. And as I was doing productions with both of them, I kind of saw that the two needed to merge.
Sure.
And that we needed to get Orlando back in the name of the company. No one knew where Florida Opera Theater was. It could have been in Pensacola.
Correct. Yeah.
So
that goes back to your business and marketing background,
I guess so. That one class I took.
One class.
It paid off. So I actually got on the board of Florida Opera Theater, got involved with just volunteering and obviously singing in the productions as well. And I think I over-volunteered some of my ideas, and they were kind of like, well, why don't you just do it? You know, and I had a lot of downtime as a performer. You know, you rehearse in the afternoon, you perform in the evening, but you have a lot of free time, and I was kind of naive. And I said, sure, I'll give it a try.
Why not?
And it's been a roller coaster ever since. So Florida Opera Theater rebranded to Opera Orlando. We started hiring staff. We've tripled our budget in 3 years, and now we have a full season at the Dr. Phillips Center. We also just did a Barbara Seville at Casa Feliz. We had a performance last night that was sold out.
I love Casa Feliz.
So yeah, trying to do some different things, but then also giving people the real opera at the Dr.
I think
Phillips
people
Center.
do know the Barbara Seville. If you grew up on Bugs Bunny, that was
Oh,
definitely...
Figaro, 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 Figaro. Yeah.
That's it.
That's
I
it.
could not do that. But talk about how you're integrating. Where does a lot of people always ask me, like, so when you have somebody from the arts that comes on, Ted, how do they get where does the budget come from? Do you do fundraisers? Is there is there arts money? Because I know Orlando is such a beautiful community for supporting the arts.
Wonderful. Wonderful
But
community.
there's been a lot of cuts over the last year. It's been a challenge for anybody that's in the arts. Where does your biggest support come from for opera, for Orlando Opera?
Private individuals. You know, you're exactly right. The state had some big cuts for the arts, unfortunately.
Cuts.
And actually, the city stepped up to try and cover some of that, which I'm very grateful. The city of Orlando is one of our biggest supporters. The county, they have the tourism tax, which we can apply for funding. We get about $40,000 through that.
Wow, that's
which is,
awesome.
we're still a small organization in many ways. That's a big deal. Also, our gala is a big fundraiser for us. We have one coming up.
Oh, talk about your
which
gala.
you should come to.
I would love to come to.
It's called the Bel Canto Ball. Bel Canto is a style of opera singing back in the 1800s, and it'll be at the Alfond Inn,
Nice.
April 13th. Tickets are on sale. Tables are on sale.
So what does that gala look like? If somebody says, "All right, I'd love to go," what goes on?
It's a
at
big
your
party.
gala?
It's just a big party. You show up at 6 p.m., you have cocktail hour, silent auction is set up. We have singers kind of mixed in, singing
I love
throughout
that.
the audience. Then we sit down, have a real nice dinner, sit-down dinner catered by Alfond Inn. They do a great job for us out there. More singers singing at your table, more entertainment.
So they're getting some sort of real experience. It's not just a gala where you're being preached at. Nothing against my gala friends. Being preached at, and then you're cutting the check, and then everything's over. They're getting to experience
You get
music
to
and
experience opera singers up close and personal.
Yeah, see, that's awesome.
And then we end with a little dance at the end and get some people out.
Sorry, we have a phone call
Oh.
person.
Was that your mother?
That was not my mother. It came from Pennsylvania.
No worries.
So that's April 13th, and we'll share that later on. We'll share the
Yeah,
contact
please
information.
come
how you
join
do
us.
that. So what are some of the things that you would like people to know about opera? I think people are afraid of it because they feel they're intimidated by it.
Right,
Because they
right.
don't know the language, and they're also, opera has always been affiliated with, normally it's affiliated with wealth, and you go to the opera, whether you like it or not, it's the place to be seen. There's all these interesting stereotypes about it. What do you want people to know about opera here? What do you want them to know about the programs that you offer?
Our mission is opera is for everyone, and that really was the original intent. You look at composers like Mozart or even Puccini, they were writing for the everyday man. Mozart was actually trying to dig at the aristocracy when he wrote The Marriage of Figaro. That's why it was banned originally.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so we actually present a lot of our stuff, a lot of our productions in English. The Barbara Seville we just did in English.
Oh, so you do it in English, so they can...
Not always. It kind of depends. Hansel and Gretel made sense to do in English because people are so familiar with that story.
Right.
So we did that one in English. Coming up, we have Pagliacci, which is an Italian opera, which we will be doing in Italian just because it's so... that Verismo style, kind of like heavy pasta sauce. You need...
It's got some very powerful...
Yeah.
I can't think of this song. I know enough to be dangerous. So when I get on here, I'm not proclaiming that I know a lot about opera. I've been, and I enjoy it. I personally love it. but I don't know enough. I haven't educated myself enough. So when
you're probably thinking of the song that was in the Rice Krispies commercial, and it was "No More Rice Krispies."
That's exactly the song I'm thinking of.
Ridi Pariacho.
There it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
That's all right.
Oh my God! See, this is our point of reference. But at least we
It's
got it in
totally
a Rice
fine.
Krispies.
Bugs Bunny is
commercial.
why everyone knows Figaro.
Listen,
God
that
love
is
it.
why. So sometimes pop culture gets it right because there's only that way. I think it makes it a little more palatable,
Accessible too.
and
Yeah.
accessible.
Yeah,
because
that's our
people,
goal.
Again,
That's our goal.
it's this fear thing, and people hear about the big Met Gala, for example, and everybody's dressed up in these crazy outfits, and I think people just immediately discount it. Where you should really give it a chance.
Right,
Now,
right.
what about people who want to get involved with the organization? What about, do you have volunteers?
Yeah, we're
So
always
talk
looking
about
for
that.
volunteers. You can work backstage. We look for wardrobe assistants. We look for hair and makeup volunteers. Also ushers in the front of house. And the ushers are great because you usually get to watch the show if you come volunteer. We also have an ambassador program, which is very affordable, $50 to become an ambassador, and you get discounts on tickets, discounts to our special events. You get an Opera t-shirt. I should have brought
There
one.
goes that
I should have
voice.
brought one for you.
Well, it's all right. We'll wear it next time.
But several ways you can get involved, really. Yeah, check out our website, operaorlando.org.
So what do you do with kids? So obviously, in our schools don't necessarily have all of these programs. So if there's a child with talent, or they feel like they're interested, or they want to at least explore what's going on in its opera, what are the steps, or can they reach out to you all, or is there a way to, because I know you give lessons.
I do on the side, but I'm happy you asked because Opera Orlando has a youth company that we actually inherited from the old Orlando Opera Company. So it has the same structure. They meet twice a week after school, about 30 kids from elementary school age to high school age, and it is an auditioned group, but there are scholarship opportunities available. And that's actually what the city of Orlando helps fund, is our youth company. And they put on their own production every year. This year they're doing Noah's Flood, Noah and the Ark, that story.
Yes.
But what's also cool is they get to perform on the main stage with the professionals and rub shoulders. And it was kind of full circle. Just recently, the performer who played the witch in Hansel and Gretel, he used to be in our youth company.
Oh, that's cool.
So he shared his story about how he started in the Opera Orlando Youth Company, and then the kids were in the performance with him. So yeah, it was just amazing to see that translate.
So there's an outlet. Because I think a lot of times people who might have the talent, they don't know where to go, especially if you're really supportive of your kids, or you're in touch with your kids, or they're asking about it. They don't know where to go. They don't know really how to reach out. So, or if there even is a resource.
Right. Or maybe they could come observe some of the classes, and then the kids realize, oh, this is something I'm interested in. But you're exactly right. Kids kind of get the bug early on for classical music, and it really is a great opportunity for them to be with peers that have common interest,
right,
and then to work with them on a production, and the parents, oh my gosh, you should see their faces when the kids are up there on stage performing. I'm sure you can imagine.
I love that. And I think that group, though, because it's to me it seems like a unique talent or interest. It's not something you would normally see a group in school has, there's not an opera club, for example.
Right.
So when you have an outlet like that, where they can explore what they're trying to figure out, if they have the talent, if they want to do it, if there's something that they can do with that desire,
right,
it's such a cool thing because they don't have that outlet anywhere else. And if you don't have that in the schools, it's really you don't really normally sit around and talk with your buddies about it or your girlfriends. You want to be with a group who has that same sort of desire and drive and interest.
I wouldn't have known about opera if it weren't for my teachers, so it just kind of depends on who your teachers are. So something else that we do at Opera Orlando are in-school programs, and we take our studio artists, 4 singers, and they do a little preview of the opera we have coming up.
That's so cool.
And then they go back and do a master class so that the kids can sing for them and realize, maybe this is something I want to pursue. Like, again, I had no idea that I could make a living as an opera singer. And it is true, you can make a living. It's hard. But the opportunities are out there. And gosh, I had no vision or idea that I'd ever be running an opera company when I was a kid. But it's been very gratifying.
What's the long term? What are some things coming up long term? It can be short term or long term. for
Well,
opera?
today I have an interview with Ted Bogert.
Well, that is going to put you on a space-wide trajectory to stardom.
Yes, of course.
God bless you.
So short term, next show coming up is the Pagliacci. And what's very cool is we're pairing it with Pulcinella, which is actually a ballet by Stravinsky. We're bringing in Phantasmagoria. Do you know this group?
A friend of mine, Jeremy Wood, performs in that. I can't think of the character he does, but I've seen it.
They're
it
like a
at the Orlando.
steampunk. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's an
They
awesome
come in
show.
their Victorian steampunk
Yeah.
costumes, and they have sword swallowers and fire breathing,
That's so
fire
cool.
dancing. So they're going to be our ballet troupe and perform as part of Pulcinella.
Very cool.
And
And when
that'll
is
be-
that?
That'll be right here, Dr. Phillips Center, March 22nd through the 26th.
And so
Tickets
when-
are on sale now.
Tickets are on sale now. Do you do any voiceover work?
Oh, if only I had the time. I get that question all the time.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
I need to.
I would
I
imagine
need to.
there's demand there. How about your kids? We talked a little bit about that. Are they showing any kind of operatic talent?
Oh, my son is so funny. All the time now he's like, Daddy, no sing. Daddy, no sing. He's already over it. He's over it.
He's tired of it. They do get tired of it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, my wife's the same way. She's like, small space. You know, I'm singing in the car to the radio. Small space.
Yeah, I
small
would imagine
space.
volume control could be because you don't have that when you're on stage.
Right. I'm
There's
not
none
aware
of
of
that.
it.
What's your favorite opera to perform in?
Well, the one we're currently doing is one of my favorites, The Barber of Seville. Figaro is just a fun, very fun role. Very fun. Trying to think other roles.
Figaro, I think Figaro, is that the one that's not as sad and dramatic?
Right, it's a comedy. I mean,
Right,
it's very
a comedy.
slapstick. Yeah.
Because a lot of them,
yeah.
somebody's dying. And
Well,
some,
Pagliacci is pretty tragic.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
There might be a knife involved in there at the end. Some
yeah, I
stabbing.
think there's a lot of
Yeah.
but that's what opera was. It told an amazing story through music, not just the regular music that you heard back then, but I mean there was really a great story involved, and most great stories have some sort of amazing dramatic flair to them.
Love triangle, passion, death.
Always a
Yeah.
love. I mean the Italians, come on.
Mama, a bunch of babies. I mean, I'm sorry.
What's your favorite song to sing? Do you have a favorite opera
Gosh.
song that just that's your thing, or is that the one where they go "Daddy, no sing"?
Well, I love music theater as well. One of my favorite music theater roles is Harold Hill, and doing Trouble in River City. My son loves it when we do that.
Trouble
one
in
together.
River City?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people. I had on a couple, the Rawmakers, who came on, and they had traveled all over. They had done different musical theater, Greece, and all sorts of fun stuff. And I think it's so I love the fact that in this day and age, someone like you can have the whole thing. You've got the whole life. You've got the family life. You have a business that you're working. You've got the business background, and yet you're still able to do your passion.
To the creative side.
And to bring that
Yeah.
passion to to a city, especially a city that is very responsive to it and accepting of it.
I'm very lucky, very fortunate. no question.
But you bless other people, so that's a wonderful thing. So what do you want to give us a couple of notes of anything?
Are we going to do our duet now?
No, I'm going to listen to you, and I don't care because these people won't mind, and you're my last show today, so if I get kicked out, it's just over there.
Maybe some South Pacific.
Okay, so
Some enchanted evening, you may see a stranger, you may see a stranger across a crowded room. And night after night, as strange as it seems, the sound of her laughter will sing in your dreams.
Oh, that's beautiful. South Pacific. Look it up. Google it if you
Written
haven't seen
for
it.
an opera singer. Ezio
was?
Pinza, the role was originally written for an opera singer.
I did not know
A
that.
lot of people might not know that, and music theater is not that dissimilar from opera. They have the same history and a lot of crossovers. So just
There's a
throwing
lot
that
of
out there.
things. You guys we all have such great access between YouTube and Google and so many things of things that you could not see before, you couldn't experience before, because it was all over the world, and maybe you couldn't get out to see South Pacific on stage or hear an opera. And so just Google some of this stuff. It's really cool, and I love the fact that we're continuing that on, because it could become very lost if there weren't people passionate about it, about theater, about music, about keeping the classics going. It would be very easy to get caught up in the current top 40, or in
we
the
would
current
lose all
movie.
that history.
We would lose so
it's
much.
It's our history. It's our legacy.
I'm very, very blessed and thankful that you guys are doing that, and that the city and the county and Central Florida really is so supportive of the arts.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you. So we're going to share all of Gabriel's contact information, how you can reach out to him, how you can get involved with Opera Orlando, how you can attend the gala, how you can go to their next performance, because that's what you want to do. Go out and experience something different than what you're normally used to doing. All right, any parting words of wisdom for them? Anything you want to share?
See you at the opera.
See you at the opera. All right, I love it. All right, you were a joy. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Ted.
We love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Mwah.